I can't move on with you. It's like
What do you
the
mean you
last
can't
step.
move on? What do you mean? That you're breaking up with me?
Yeah.
It's to find love and like get married, and it just never happens for me.
Thoughts. 1 minute they were arguing, the next minute Emma was alone watching the car disappear into the dust. And that was it. You wait all season for a proposal. You fly across the world. You picture romance under the Moroccan sky. Instead, you get dumped in the sand. The breakup was fast, cold. Ziad did not ask questions. He did not pause. He did not process. He shut down and walked away. So now we have to ask the uncomfortable question. Was he hurt, or was he seizing control? Because let's rewind for a second. When Emma landed at the airport, she came in hopeful. She expected affection. She expected passion. She even expected, at some point during this trip, a ring. Her birthday came and went without the proposal she clearly hoped for. Still, she stayed patient. Still, she kept believing. She overlooked the awkward distance. She overlooked the shift in energy. She overlooked the fact that the warmth he promised before she flew out somehow cooled the moment she arrived. And now, suddenly, he is morally outraged. And this is where everything starts to feel less like heartbreak and more like strategy. Because the confession that triggered all this did not come out of nowhere. Emma admitted she had been engaged before, in Morocco, during a previous trip. She said she hid it out of fear. Fear of losing him. Fear of judgment. Fear of this exact reaction. Is hiding an engagement serious? Yes, no one denies that. But what feels strange is the speed. No discussion, no attempt to understand, just a clean exit. If you have been watching closely, you notice something building long before this moment. At the airport. On her birthday. In the small, dismissive comments. There was distance. There was tension. There was something already cracking beneath the surface. Which leads to the question nobody wants to say out loud. Was he already halfway out the door? Because when someone reacts that quickly, it can look less like shock and more like relief. Relief that a reason finally arrived. Emma stood there crying, saying she did all this to be together, and he was already booking his ride. That image sticks. Not dramatic, not exaggerated, just a woman alone in a foreign country while the man she trusted drives away. But what Emma says next flips the entire power dynamic, and suddenly this breakup is not as clean as he wanted it to be. Let's rewind to the moment everything cracked. They are sitting in the desert. The mood is already tense. Emma looks nervous. You can see she knows this is risky. And then she says it. On her last trip to Morocco, she got engaged. Not during this relationship. Not while she was with him. Before him. She explains she kept it quiet because she was scared. Scared he would judge her. Scared he would see her differently. Scared he would walk away. This was not a cheating confession. This was not an ongoing secret boyfriend. It was part of her past. And in her mind, she was protecting the future. You might disagree with her choice. Hiding an engagement is serious. It is not small. It speaks to trust. But notice the tone. She is not defensive. She is not attacking him. She looks anxious, almost bracing for impact. And impact comes fast. Ziad does not ask follow-up questions. He does not ask how long ago. He does not ask why it ended. He does not say he needs time. He shuts down. He says he cannot move forward. He stands up. He is done. No processing. No pause. And that speed is what turns this from a hurt reaction into something deeper. Because when someone goes from conversation to exit in seconds, it raises a thought. Was this about betrayal? Or was it about control slipping away? When Emma told him about her engagement, she changed the narrative. She was no longer the woman waiting for his proposal. She was someone who had been chosen before, someone who had options before, someone with a history in his country. That matters. There is a kind of ego hit when the person you think you are leading suddenly reveals a chapter you did not know. The power dynamic shifts. He is no longer the sole gatekeeper of commitment. Still, fairness matters. If you are serious about marriage, you deserve transparency. Finding out your partner hid a past engagement can shake trust. That reaction is human. But shutting down without dialogue is a choice. Now layer in something else. Earlier this season, we saw messages. We saw screenshots, women being invited to visit him, conversations that crossed lines. Emma saw them. She confronted him. She stayed. He framed those interactions as harmless, friendly, nothing serious. She swallowed her doubts. So compare the two situations. She hides a past engagement before him. He entertains other women during the relationship. One gets forgiven, the other triggers exile. And this is where the word hypocrisy starts whispering in the background, slowly, not loudly, because he speaks like a man deeply betrayed. Yet the record shows behavior that also required grace. And she gave it. The tension builds because the breakup feels final. He wants a clean moral exit. He wants to walk away as the injured party. But Emma is not done. She follows him. She is hurt, yes, but she is also cornered. And when someone feels cornered, they stop protecting reputations. So she says something on camera that changes the tone instantly. She reminds him and the viewers that they were intimate, that off camera, the moral boundaries he now clings to were not so rigid. And suddenly, this is no longer about a hidden engagement. It is about image versus reality. And once that door opens, there is no going back. The moment Emma says they were intimate, the tone shifts. This is no longer a breakup in the desert. This is a collision between public image and private behavior. On camera, Ziad positioned himself as morally offended. He spoke about trust. He spoke about standards. He spoke like a man drawing a firm line. Then Emma reminded everyone that off-camera, the boundaries were different. In my opinion, that is where the ground starts to shake. Because reality television runs on image control. Especially in cross-cultural relationships. There are family expectations, religious expectations, national stereotypes, viewers watching from different parts of the world. When you present yourself as disciplined and traditional, that persona carries weight. So when private actions surface, even without legal claims or accusations, it complicates the story. Allegedly, what happens off camera does not always match the energy presented on camera. And when those two versions clash, trust erodes. He wanted a clean moral high ground. She exposed the gray. And once the audience sees the gray, the black and white story falls apart. Now look at the emotional balance. Emma tolerated his messages with other women earlier in the season. She confronted him, yes, but she stayed. She explained. She tried to make it work. Her pattern was absorb and adjust. His pattern in this moment was cut and leave. That imbalance matters. The person who cares less often controls the outcome. When one partner fears losing the relationship more, they bend more. They forgive more. They explain more. When the other partner feels less attached, they exit faster. It is uncomfortable to admit, but detachment can look like power. Social media reactions reflect that tension. Some viewers say Ziad had every right to walk away after learning about the engagement. Others point out the double standard, asking why his messaging history did not carry equal weight. The fan base is split, and that split tells you this is not simple. So where do you stand? Is hiding a past engagement unforgivable? Or does his quick departure reveal something else? Because the speed of his exit keeps echoing louder than the confession itself. And there is another layer. When someone reacts with instant detachment, it can be a defense mechanism. Protect the ego. Protect the narrative. Leave before the conversation digs deeper. In my opinion, the deeper conversation is what both of them avoided. Emma wanted reassurance through a proposal. Ziad wanted control through moral authority. Both were chasing security in different ways. But here's the twist. Emma is not purely a victim in this story. She ignored warning signs. She saw the messages. She felt the distance at the airport. She sensed the hesitation on her birthday. And she still pushed forward toward marriage. Sometimes hope is louder than evidence. And if we are honest, the red flags were waving long before the taxi door closed. If you have watched this franchise long enough, you start to notice a pattern. Different couples, different countries, same power struggle. One person holds the emotional leash, the other holds the hope. Ziad and Emma are not the first pair where morality becomes a weapon. We have seen partners suddenly claim standards when it suits them. We have seen people overlook their own questionable choices while spotlighting their partner's flaws. It is almost predictable. At first, it can feel dramatic and personal, but step back and the structure repeats. When control feels threatened, values get louder. When ego feels bruised, exits get faster. There is even a strange humor in it. One week, someone says they need honesty above all else. The next week, they downplay screenshots or flirtation as harmless. The double standard does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers and waits. And once you start spotting the pattern, you cannot unsee it. Selective morality is powerful because it sounds righteous. It gives someone a clean storyline. I was wronged. I had no choice. I walked away. But real relationships are messy. Both sides carry flaws. Both sides make choices. When only one person gets to play judge, imbalance grows. Now, shift the tone. Because this is not only about entertainment, it is about emotional survival. The desert scene was not just dramatic scenery. It mirrored emotional isolation. Emma standing there alone felt bigger than geography. It felt like what happens when you invest heavily and the other person detaches. Silence replaces dialogue. Dust replaces clarity. In relationships, isolation does not start in deserts. It starts in small moments, unanswered questions, dismissed concerns, conversations cut short. And here is the practical takeaway. Transparency has to move both ways. If you expect full disclosure, you owe full disclosure. If you want forgiveness, you need to offer it. Boundaries only work when they apply equally. When one partner sets standards they themselves do not follow, resentment builds. It might not explode immediately, but it waits. And the longer resentment waits, the sharper the fallout becomes. Emma pushed for commitment as proof of love. Ziad reacted to hidden history as proof of betrayal. Both were chasing security. Neither slowed down enough to build it. There is also a lesson about pace. In this franchise, relationships often move at high speed. Engagement talks come early, marriage pressure builds quickly. When pace outruns trust, cracks show faster. And remember that first image. Taxi driving away. Emma left standing in the sand. That moment felt sudden, but was it sudden? Or was it the final chapter of small unresolved tensions? You could argue Ziad felt blindsided. You could argue Emma ignored warning signs. Both statements can exist at the same time. That is what makes this story frustrating and human. Because when you replay the season in your head, the distance at the airport, the missed proposal on her birthday, the earlier messaging drama, the uneasy body language, it starts to look less like a shock and more like a slow build. Which brings us to the uncomfortable thought. Was this breakup written long before the desert argument ever began?